with the Kentucky Wildcats. The Wildcats have been on a roll. Now 18-4 on the season, gentlemen, after a 77-70 win over Vanderbilt. So I begin with this, Coach Prohm. What has allowed Kentucky to get on a roll? What's the reason?
I think John Calipari, number one. I think he's done a phenomenal job of getting his guys. You see the transformation from last year to this year. And I think he's done a great job of adding some pieces and getting those guys right now to play together, to play the right way. They had 22 made baskets tonight. 16 baskets were assisted on. When you're above the 60% ratio on assisted baskets, you're doing something right. Your kids are selfless. They're playing together. Cal's preaching ball movement, player movement, spacing. The ball's not sticking. And then his best players are playing at their highest level right now with Brooks, Mint, obviously Oscar's, 17 rebounds tonight. Last time I checked. He's a load down there. And then, hey, Ty-Ty's not playing great right now, but he just got back, so the great thing is they got, Severe, who didn't shoot it great tonight, but he still gets 9 assists. They're playing with a swagger. Vanderbilt, I think Jerry runs good stuff, good actions. I've been down there, watched them practice a couple times. But when they're coming off such a huge win against Kansas, there's going to be a little bit of letdown, from a standpoint on a Wednesday night. From their standpoint, on the flip side, you look at Kansas, not to get off Kentucky, they lose that game. Their focus last night was at a high level.
Yeah, and RC, what I love about this group is that we talk about Ty, and we're going to get to Ty Washington and everything that he does well. But Keon Brooks Jr. has combined for 47 points over the last two games. What does that mean?
I think if they get him or Ty going now, I think they're a tough out. I think they'll be difficult for anybody to beat. And I mean anybody. I mean, they just need to get one of those guys going well. I mean, the last couple of games has been Keon Brooks. He's been playing out of his mind. He had 27 and 20 tonight, and it just takes pressure off. But one of those guys between he and Ty Washington to be a consistent threat, just one of the two, I think they're going to be a tough out. I mean, Tshiebwe is just a force. I mean, because even with Wheeler, I think I've been critical of him. A lot of us been critical of him. He's not a shooter. That's fine. But when he penetrates and that big rotates over, he doesn't even have – I would just tell him throw it up. Like, he doesn't have to get it blocked because Tshiebwe is going to clean it up. So if he drives, I mean, it makes him more effective doing that. He's getting in the lane. He's taking care of the basketball. As long as he takes care of the basketball, he doesn't have to shoot it well. There's enough scoring around them, and they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, sometimes when you have that elite rebounder on the backside, you just throw it up there. You're just trying to get it up to the rim, even if you're not even trying to make it. I know that sounds crazy, but because teams rotate so hard, if they don't rotate down to get that box out, and against Oscar, it's going to be tough to do that. Sometimes you just want to get that ball up the rim and then let him go get it like Randolph said on the backside, and that's why he's getting 15, 16, 17, 18 rebounds a night.
Coach Prohm, you said it to start. You said John Calipari's adapted with this team as the season's gone on. On this very network, I've heard it. I've heard it from some of our people that say John is the best CEO in college basketball. We all know that. But I think sometimes when people say that, it also comes with, I'm not as sure about the way he runs offense. I don't like his offense, X's and O's. What say you to that when you hear that?
He wins, man. He's won. He's won at a high level. He's won everywhere he's been. He won at UMass. He won at Memphis at a high level. He's won at Kentucky at a high level. It's not easy to maintain excellence, especially, at certain programs. And he's done it, year after year. And yeah, he's had you talk about the COVID year or the 1 year, 10 years ago, they went to the NIT, coaching a group of guys that are as talented as guys like him. That's hard to do, to get them to play with 22 made baskets and have 16 assists. That means his message is getting across to those guys about being selfless, about being bigger than yourself, and about having long-term vision of, if we can do something special as a group, and you always hear them say this, then we'll all eat. will all get paid in one way or the other.
One thing I'll add to that too is that, you know, this coach, when he's kind of gotten out of the one and done realm for some of these guys, I mean, he has more transfers, more experienced guys. But when you got a bunch of young guys, the last thing you need to do is run a whole bunch of complex stuff, have them thinking. You paralyze them with information. You just want your stallions to go out there and just play.
Yeah.
And when you got young guys, you put them in position to say, hey, you do this well, you do that well. That's been their MO. So I think he's caught a lot of flack for not necessarily running complex things. But when you bring in a freshman, you can't overwhelm them with information, because the more you get them to think and the less they're playing, the less effective it is. So now that he gets an experienced team, he gets to run a little bit more. And I think he's gotten the negative publicity for that. But you can't overwhelm a freshman with that's the difference why some play at some universities and why they don't play early at others. They just can't process the information fast enough.
If you get 80 in Allen Fieldhouse and you score 100 on Tennessee, Rick Barnes and Bill Self-coach team, I don't know if we need to sit here and talk about what kind of offense he's running. I mean, come on. And they've gotten better as the season's gone on. And part of that, RC, is what you said. Like you have to grow with who you are. It all can't come right away. Coach Prohm, how do you coach freshmen? What's the process that Cal does with these freshmen? How did you coach them? The most of the time I'll just say, hey, put the pressure on me. I remember I had a kid, Cameron Payne. He was replacing Isaiah Cannon, and he was one of the top players at Murray State, and Cameron Payne's coming in. A lot of pressure on him to replace him. Hey, man, you just play. The last thing I need you to do is be looking over at the bench. You play. I'll deal with all the if you make some turnovers, you take some bad shots, I'll deal with all that. You play, man. The pressure's on me, man. You need to be relaxed and play. And been fortunate to have some really good freshmen and have guys, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Tyrese Halliburton, Lindell Wigginton, and, Cameron Payne. Those guys were really, really successful for us as freshmen, and obviously very talented. That helps, number one. But number two, then you just want to give them a lot of freedom and confidence.
Kentucky rolling 18-4. I'm looking at it, guys, because the Wildcats are 7-2 in SEC play, and Auburn's the toughest part of their league schedule is done. Now, they're at 9-0, but if you look at their schedule coming up, like Kentucky's got Alabama up next. This Auburn team has Georgia, Arkansas, home against Texas A&M, home against Vanderbilt, at Florida down the stretch. Like, I don't know if Kentucky's catching Auburn. That's a reflection of how good Auburn is. Randolph, could we see Randolph Childress, the Southeastern Conference, have two Final Four teams?
Absolutely. I don't think anybody would question that. I mean, if you had to pick it right now, depending on how the brackets fell out, I mean, who would argue Kentucky isn't a Final Four team right now? And no one will argue that Auburn's not. So they're definitely two teams that we would expect. Or definitely, I'd be shocked to see if 40% of the brackets wouldn't have those teams when it's all said and done, that have Kentucky coming in or Auburn in the Final Four.
And they probably have more than that has a chance to do that. You look at
I was going to say, I think Alabama's
Alabama.
a team that's set up to run because of the way they're going to play. Now, there's more of a matchup with me. I think a dominant big, they'll struggle against a force inside because of their play. But any of the small balls or the low major, mid-major programs early on, that's a matchup Alabama's they don't want to see. That's a tough matchup for them.
And you don't know, can LSU, and I know they had a lost at home last night to Ole Miss, but can they make a run? And I'm still a Tennessee fan. I still think Tennessee's a really good basketball team. And the one team that's coming now, Arkansas, they've won 7 in a row. They've won 6 in a row in league play. I don't know, but I'm not talking Final Four. I'm just saying that they're playing really well. The question, I think, is, can Auburn run the table in the SEC? Can they go 18-0, in the SEC? It'll be interesting to see.